Next slide, please, Carl. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what the British Pharmacopoeia is and what you can find in it, and then how the content of the BP is developed. Next slide, please. So the British Pharmacopoeia is a function delivered by the Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency, the MHRA. The BP makes an important contribution to the role of the MHRA in protecting public health by providing written quality standards and chemical reference substances for UK pharmaceutical substances and medicinal products. The BP is the only collection of official standards for medicines and products marketed in the UK. And these standards include analytical procedures found to be suitable for UK marketed products, as well as the accepted limits for critical quality attributes. Both the BP and the European Pharmacopoeia have legal status within the UK, and the BP publication brings together the EP and our national standards, which are produced by the BP team. The UK Human Medicines Regulations 2012 makes it an offence to sell or supply products in the UK which do not comply with BP monographs, and the product should be able to comply if tested at any point during its period of use. This is regardless of whether companies claim compliance with the BP for their products. Next slide, please. So the So 2024 marks the 160th anniversary, and I wanted to share a potted history of the BP as part of this to sort of show you how we've evolved over time. The first edition of the BP was published in 1864, bringing together the established pharmacopoeia in the British Isles. That's London, Edinburgh and Dublin. And these pharmacopoeias started as lists of preparations and medicinal ingredients. And over the years, the focus has shifted from the lists of preparations to the analytical testing methods and limits present in monographs today. A couple of important milestones along our journey that I wanted to highlight were in 1964 with the Convention of the European Pharmacopoeia, of which the BP was a founding member. And this led to kind of harmonisation of standards across member states and recognising the increasing globalisation of products and population movement as well. And in 2003, with the formation of the MHRA, when the BP became embedded into the UK Medicines Regulator. And next slide, please. And so what can you find in the BP these days? The leeches have gone, but you can find a wide coverage of medicinal substances and products. So human drug substances and drug products, biological medicines, unlicensed medicines in the UK, veterinary medicines, herbal and homeopathic products. And supporting those are things like the general monographs, which are standards for pharmaceutical preparations and dosage forms, specific monographs, so individual products, drug substances and excipients. There are additional mandatory texts, so those in the general notices and the appendices, and supportive non-mandatory texts. So it would be in the supplementary chapters and our guidance and best practice guidance as well. Next slide, please, Carl. So just to focus a little bit on how we develop monographs and texts, this is a collaborative effort across the BP and Labs team and our lab-based colleagues who assess the analytical methods in the monographs and produce the BP chemical reference substances. It also involves other colleagues of ours within the MHRA, particularly the licensed assessors, but also inspectors and colleagues at our science campus as well. Our technical experts in expert advisory groups and panels and working parties, and our BP Commission members too. And our wider stakeholders across the pharmaceutical industry who contribute to the development of BP monographs and texts through submitting methods, data and proposals for comment for monographs and comments. And you can find those on the website in the stakeholder comment section. And next slide, please. And this is kind of just a high level view of the key stages in the monograph life cycle. So initiation is our process by which we identify candidate monographs for development. And the usual criteria we look at for these are sort of usage volumes of the medicines and the importance of a medicine, and that's UK-based generally. Monograph development involves reviewing data, writing drafts, presenting those proposals to the expert advisory group, and they will review and comment on those. We'll then take those comments away and prepare the text for laboratory assessment and then stakeholder comment. The publication step is when texts are signed off by the expert groups and then by BP Commission members, and then are released into the BP publication. Monographs are revised regularly. They're part and parcel of our kind of keeping on top of our texts. Monographs are living documents, and revision to them can be instigated by BP users, by regulators, by advances in analytical techniques, by problems reported to us with monographs and tests. And the revision process can be as lengthy as producing a new monograph. It may involve, you know, a need for lab work and further steps as well. And then the final step in the journey might be omission of a monograph, and that's if we identify there's no authorization holders or no widespread use, and we might put those forward for omission. We do seek international stakeholder comments on that too before we consider omitting a monograph. Next slide, please, Carl. And as you can see from this slide, there are nearly 20 groups of experts established in the BP. And BP experts are professionals who provide their expertise and guidance for the development and maintenance of the British Pharmacopoeia. Expert group members are from pharmaceutical industry, both innovators and generic industry, the NHS and academia. We have representatives from other teams within the MHRA who also are involved in our expert groups as well. And our technical advisors may have expertise in various fields, such as pharmaceutical chemistry and pharmacology, microbiology or analytical techniques or formulation development. And we look for experts with knowledge and experience that fit with the remits of our expert advisory groups and panels and working parties. Next slide, please. In addition to the development of BP texts, we are the National Pharmacopoeia Authority for the UK in the European Pharmacopoeia. And the UK is one of the founding members of the European Pharmacopoeia. The legal framework around the BP and EP falls under the Council of Europe and UK national legislation and not EU regulations. So this means we continue to be a full contributor to the European Pharmacopoeia, and the EP remains in legal effect in the UK. The BP represents UK industry by commenting on the European draft standards, by nominating UK experts to EDQM expert groups, as well as reviewing texts to ensure the standards are suitable for UK industry and in line with UK regulatory expectations. And last slide, please, Carl. So I'm just going to end this section with a focus on the value of BP standards. The quality standards of the BP provide a common or shared understanding of quality characteristics accepted by regulators for medicines and their ingredients. And by providing manufacturers with this baseline of regulatory expectation and acceptance, it can save time and resource in developing analytical control strategies for medicines and streamline communications between industry regulators and academia. And this in turn builds confidence in medicines quality through assuring that innovator and generic products alike are of a certain quality and protecting the public at large when they use the products. The monographs also support generic prescribing in the NHS by the same legal quality assurance and the cost savings that generic prescribing brings. And in addition to this, the BP is used in over 100 countries, so more than half the countries in the world. And so our monographs contribute to the quality of medicines worldwide. And so with that, I will hand over to Michael, who will tell you more about the BP 2025 and what's new. Thank you, Carl.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining the webinar. My name is Michael Whaley, and today I'll be guiding you through the new updates in the British Pharmacopoeia this year, and outlining what's new in the 2025 publication. Okay, so I'll make a start. Next slide, please. Thank you. We'll start by covering the British Pharmacopoeia products available this year, and we'll explore the new content included in this year's BP 2025 edition. The presentation will also highlight the new formats and the latest British approved names publication. And additionally, I'd like to introduce some of the new website features we've launched this year and showcase some of our recently released guidance documents. Next slide, please. So the British Pharmacopoeia for 2025 was published on the 1st of August 2024, and it's available in 3 formats: the online format, an offline download product, which is a new format and is an improved version of last year's product, and we have the 6-volume hard copy book. All formats contain the necessary material to demonstrate the compliance of active pharmaceutical ingredients, excipients, and formulated preparations with the Pharmacopoeia standards. In addition to a range of over 1,400 BP monographs for formulated preparations, our BP publications also benefit from the inclusion of all the monographs and guidance published in the European Pharmacopoeia. So the BP 2025 edition includes the European Pharmacopoeia 11th edition and supplements 11.1 through to 11.5. Our digital formats have the added advantage of being updated throughout the year and will include updates with supplements 11.6, 11.7 and 11.8 of the European Pharmacopoeia. This year has also seen the release of the British Approved Names 2022 supplement number 3 in a new format, which we'll mention in a minute. Next slide, please. So what's new in the BP 2025? Well, we have new texts and many revised monographs. The new monographs include 2 monographs for clopidogrel tablets. Clopidogrel is an antiplatelet medicinal product, and these products reduce the chances of blood clots forming by preventing platelets clumping together during blood clotting. The 2 new monographs cover 2 forms of drug substance, clopidogrel bezalate and clopidogrel hydrogen sulfate, which are used in the manufacture of the formulated preparations. We've got 2 new monographs for doxorubicin formulated preparations, which are a highly used medicine in the UK. The BP has developed a monograph for gliclazide prolonged release tablets, which is another highly used medicine used in the treatment of non-insulin dependent diabetes. The 2025 publication introduces 2 new monographs for imatinib capsules and imatinib tablets. Both formulations are tyrosine kinase inhibitors used in the treatment of cancer in patients. There are 2 new monographs for paracetamol-containing formulations and 2 monographs for solifenacin oral solution and solifenacin oral suspension. The BP has also added to its collection of standards for herbal drugs with 2 monographs for green tea dry extract, both caffeinated and decaffeinated. Both these monographs contain HPTLC and HPLC methods. The BP 2025 edition contains over 100 revised texts, too many to list on this slide, but I can highlight a few. The BP 2025 contains revised atenolol monographs. Atenolol is a highly used beta blocker, and the monographs have been improved with new assay tests, updated identification tests to remove hazardous reagents, and the introduction of a dissolution test to the tablet monograph. The new edition includes revisions to the BP's existing paracetamol product monographs and 3 revised monographs for flucloxacillin products, which are revised to improve the standards and increase harmonization with the European Pharmacopoeia API monograph. Alongside the publication of these new and revised standards, we've made available 11 new BP chemical reference substances. These new primary standards are available now and can be purchased directly from our website ahead of the BP 2025's implementation date of the 1st of January 2025. Next slide, please. So this year we're really proud of the new British Approved Names format. Based on feedback from our users, the British Approved Names, or BAN, has transitioned from a hard copy publication to a HTML format publication. The new format, as you can see in the top right there, has a style familiar to the formats many of you are used to in the British Pharmacopoeia. The BAN is now a digital-only publication and benefits from integration with the BP, where users can easily navigate links from the BAN entries to the corresponding BP monographs. In Supplement 3 of the BAN 2022, we've added 23 new British approved names, and these entries relate to new medicines that are now available on the UK market and have been harmonised where possible with the international non-proprietary name published by the WHO. Next slide, please. We've also introduced some new useful features to the website in 2025. You might recall that our redesigned BP website was launched in winter 2023, featuring new design and functionality. Hopefully the website helps you find what you need more easily with a new and improved site design and navigation. And we've made changes to our users' ability to self-serve online with improved publication purchase journeys. Our timeline and track changes features have been updated to better visualize changes to BP texts. So if you want to know the detail of what's changed in any of the texts that you're interested in from edition to edition, then these features have really been improved and should be of great use to you. New for BP 2025 subscribers, we've got increased personalization through our accounts per user feature. And this feature comes hand in hand with a new personalized dashboard, which you can see pictured in the bottom right of the slide. The dashboard allows every user to view their most recently accessed monographs and texts, allows them to choose favorites, texts, and importantly, you can now select to receive alerts about any changes to monographs and texts that may be of importance to you. Users of the 2025 will also be able to use the dashboard to easily see the status of their subscription. Additionally, at the bottom of every page in the Pharmacopoeia, we now have improved feedback features, giving users the opportunity to provide feedback on the usefulness of the content. Next slide, please. The British Pharmacopoeia's activities are not solely focused on monographs and texts in the book, but we've also published new guidance in the British Pharmacopoeia this year, which continues to be updated. You'll have seen an increasing suite of advanced therapy medicinal products guidance, which are published within the digital version of the BP, but are also free to download from the website. Joining our existing pieces of guidance this year are documents on the characterization of the capsid particle population in our AAV products and guidance relating to T-cell and NK cell characterization assays. The BP's ATMP guidance has been developed and approved by the British Pharmacopoeia as part of the MHRA in partnership with experts from the cell and gene therapy community. And this group includes representatives from industry, UK's National Health Service, and academia. And guidance in sustainability. We've also increased the amount of guidance related to our sustainability initiative, which is free to access on our website. We've published in the BP 2025 a monograph for solifenacin oral suspension, which is accompanied by a free to access sustainability case study as part of our sustainability initiative. And that's my final slide, so thank you for your attention. And now to have a deeper dive into our sustainability initiatives, I'll hand over to Steve Young.
Thank you, Michael, and good afternoon, everybody. Carl, if you could go to the next slide, please. So as a brief outline of what I'm going to talk about this afternoon, we'll start by looking at why we decided to start this initiative, what were the drivers for that, and how we envisage our information pack helping. Then I'll talk a little bit about what the pack actually is, how did we develop it, and who did we involve in doing this, where it is, and how we hope that you'll find it useful to use and be able to contribute to future versions of it. And then finally, I'll just talk about a couple of examples of our of what we've included in the pack and what we're going to be including and going forward with as we try and take this work forward over the coming years, and finish with a bit of a call to action. So we're asking people to please download the pack, as Michael says. In order to do that, you need to provide an email address, so we can then, when we issue the next iteration, next version of the pack, that everyone who's downloaded it will be informed and will be kept involved in hopefully an ongoing and a growing conversation. So next slide, please, Carl. So why did we start this work off? Now, I'm sure we're all well aware of the ongoing climate change issues around the world, and international efforts and international discussion and debate on climate action, and the battle against the climate change that we're seeing around the world. Within the UK, our government has published our net zero agenda, and we have some pretty stretching targets for the whole of the UK to be net zero by 2050. Between now and then, within those targets, we also have targets for public sector buildings across the whole of the UK to reduce their carbon footprint and their emissions by 50% based on 2017 levels by 2032, and by 3/4 by 2037. And then the intent is that the entire UK emissions will be net zero by 2050. So that seems a long way away, but today it's only 25.5 years from now. So that doesn't seem quite so far away when I think of it like that. In line with this, the MHRA in our latest corporate plan has included a corporate agenda target for us to deliver a sustainability strategy for medical products. So for the BP, being a part of the agency, looking at the work we do and the impact we can have on sustainability initiatives, fits entirely in supporting that MHRA strategy, which again supports the UK government's net zero strategy. We are very well aware that the BP itself contains many monographs, many analytical methods, using lots and lots of different solvents, some of which are very environmentally damaging, like chloroform, for instance, and it's an ozone depleting chemical. Others are very toxic, like acetonitrile, and other solvents that are used routinely in analytical labs around the world, and also in our own laboratory. We also ship reference standards around the world. Annually, we will ship upwards of 3,500, some years maybe 4,000 shipments a year, and up to 40,000 individual vials are traveling around the world, with all of the packaging, all of the fuel, logistical emissions and resources that takes. And one thing that MHRA as a regulator and BP as the pharmacopoeia know that we can also do is we can support and enable the people who use us, so our BP users and the pharmaceutical industry. And if we can help and enable the sector to be more sustainable and to use less resources, then we believe we can have a much wider impact than just the difference we can make within our own operations in the UK and our own laboratory. So there's a real imperative here, we believe, and the way we want the pack to work, and for our users to benefit from the pack, we're hoping that we have what you might describe as a ready-made community that we can talk to, we can influence, and we can support to improve our collective sustainability impact. Next slide, please, Carl. So what is the pack? Well, it's a document that we produced starting in 2022 and over the course of 2023, we brought together a number of interested parties that we identified as being active in this area, and sort of try to bring that expertise and experience together. What we didn't want to do, and this is very important, is we know that there's a lot of research and work going on in all industrial sectors and all pharmaceuticals, chemicals, petrochemicals, inorganics, all around the world, looking at different ways of measuring environmental impact and different strategies for impacting and reducing environmental impacts. What we did not want to do was to repeat other people's work or to reinvent the wheel. So what we've done in the information pack is to bring together existing published and very respected sources of information and definitions and ways of measuring and impacting sustainability, and brought those together in one place that we hope our users and our Pharmacopoeia community can access, can use, and can benefit from. We've also included a number of case studies within the pack, and these are all specific to our pharmaceutical analysis world, but they include things like replacing equipment and reducing energy consumption within laboratories based on equipment, freezers being a very good example. Reducing the amount of solvents used by either recycling, recirculating, or reducing the size of columns and the dimensions and the amounts of solvents used in methods. Changing solvents and switching from more environmentally damaging ones to less environmentally damaging ones, and also looking at alternative packaging that we use to ship our reference materials around the world. And there are a number of key contributors to this. We had a number of organizations and companies that are active in this area, including not all of them, but the Royal Society of Chemistry were involved. Some pharma companies such as AstraZeneca and a company from Egypt contributed. My Green Lab organization, HPLC column manufacturer Waters, and also other more bio-focused organisations like BioForum and the UK's Cell and Gene Therapy Catalogue, including our own BP commissioners and BP expert advisors. We felt this brought together a real wide range of expertise and varying viewpoints. And this pack was published in March 2024. You can find it on the BP website under the guidance materials section, and it's free to download. So please do go on the website. You'll need to provide an email address to register, but all that means is that when we update this pack and when we add further case studies to it, that you will get an email to tell you that, and you can get the latest version. And we've also established a sustainability dedicated email address, and we are hopeful that as this pack gets more used, that our users will undoubtedly have their own projects or changes that they've made to reduce their own environmental impact, and we're asking stakeholders to send those in to us so we can include those as future examples in future editions of this sustainability pack. Carl, next slide, please. So I'm going to talk about two examples of work that we've done within the BP laboratory itself. And the first one is we've replaced our polystyrene packaging material that we used to ship our reference standard vials with a cardboard replacement. Now, for many years, the BP has used these expanded polystyrene vial packs, in which we ship up to 3 vials. And we identified that single-use plastic is obviously a quite environmentally damaging thing to use. So we wanted to switch away from plastic and move into a more sustainable solution. So during 2023, we looked at alternatives and we identified that the cardboard pack, which you can see on this slide, was a suitable replacement. We made the change under a controlled way. So we did some test shipments. We looked at the robustness of the cardboard box compared to the polystyrene box, how much weight it would take if you dropped it, if you put heavy weights on it. And we looked at the risk of moisture getting into the cardboard and how moisture resistant the cardboard was. We decided that it was suitable to progress. So in September 2023, we switched from our polystyrene packs to the cardboard one. And once we communicated with users this was going to happen, and we made the change, we monitored any feedback we got very closely for 6 to 7 months up until around April of this year. We monitored the feedback we got. We were very pleased to hear that we only got one query from a customer who was asking about the difference in packaging. We didn't get any major reports that this was causing damage to vials in transit, and we didn't see any uptick in queries around damaged packaging or potentially damaged vials after the change that was any higher than we'd previously had with our polystyrene packs. So we now consider the change is complete, and we'll be using these cardboard packs going forward. And the benefit of that is we've estimated that the carbon dioxide equivalence for the cardboard packs by weight is about 77 to 78% lower than the polystyrene packs. So there's a huge carbon saving there. And we can also obviously fit in up to 9 vials per cardboard box, whereas it was only 3 vials per polystyrene box. And our estimate is that means annually we'll use about half as many cardboard boxes as we would have used polystyrene one. And finally, cardboard is easier to recycle by the end users when you receive your vials, and you don't want to keep hundreds of these cardboard boxes around. So we consider that a real win-win-win change. We're very pleased with the impact that we hope this will have. Next slide, please, Carl. And then finally, Michael mentioned this earlier, and this is really hot off the press because it's been included in BP 2025, just published in July. And this is a new monograph we've published in the BP 2025 with the analytical methods based on validated HPLC methods for assay and for related substances. And what we've done in this instance, and what we will be doing in future monographs as well, where possible, is we've used the allowable changes within the chromatographic separation techniques chapter within BP to scale down the column, use a shorter, more narrow column, and then consequently reduce the flow rates and the injection volumes for the chromatographic parameters to give us broadly similar chromatography at much reduced solvent levels. It's important to mention here the method published in the monograph is using the longer column, and it is the method that has been validated and has got the full analytical validation and verification behind it. But the intent here is to demonstrate and to show to users that within the allowable adjustments and making sure that you're not adversely affecting the chromatography by making these adjustments, that you can remarkably reduce the solvent content and the solvent usage. So you can get this on the website in 2 ways. For our subscribers who access the Pharmacopoeia, it appears in the More Resources tab on the monograph, and for those people who don't subscribe to the BP, you can find this by searching example test results on the homepage, and then you can enter your monograph name, and you get the additional information around the monographs, which is free of charge. So you can see from the table at the bottom of this slide, we were able to reduce the amount of mobile phase needed by 80%, and we reduced the runtime by 30%. So pretty significant reductions and savings. And you can see from the chromatographic parameters there that we got broadly similar chromatography, and all of the system suitability criteria were still met with a scaled method. So again, pretty significant saving there, and we will be doing this again in future monographs as we're elaborating new ones and updating existing monographs. So you should see more of these coming through with future editions of the BP. So I think that's all from me now. I'll just finish with a plug for the information pack for version 2. This example will be going in as a case study in the second iteration of the information pack. The change in BPCRS packaging is in the current one that's on the website today. But please do sign up for the pack, download it, and if you do have any great examples of significant sustainability changes in your own laboratories or your own operations, then please feel free to use the email address and send us some examples of those as we look to enhance and expand the pack going forward in future years.